Hey there, so today we're going to create a wizard character for a D&D campaign. This is something that you can use if you are going to dive into a campaign. This video will hopefully help you figure out what are the necessities of creating a wizard and what are some things to know kind of creating one. So use this as a guide, use this as something to help you create something for your next D&D campaign. So let's dive in. So with the wizard class, there are a lot of choices. If you're going for optimization, you might think of certain classes go well with other races and things like that. Elf kind of, pairs well with that. Gnome is another one that if you're kind of going for more of that optimization, you might want to go with something like that. So let's go with our gnome. Like I said, we're going to be creating a wizard. So we're going to go down here and click on the wizard. Add class. As a wizard, you're going to be focusing mostly on the intelligence. That's going to be your bread and butter. The physical stats, strength, dexterity, con are going to be much lower on the totem pole for a wizard because you're going to be using your intelligence to not only spellcast, but a lot of the things that really are baked into the class. You're going to really want to make sure those are your stats that are really high. So proficiencies, these are the things that your character is going to be really good at. So right out the gate, Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion are two of the ones that you really want to think about. Arcana makes the most sense. As a wizard, you want to have some expertise in the field of magic. So that's going to be probably your first one. History really seems to stand out to me as a wizard. A lot of times, like maybe your dungeon master will ask you to make rolls on knowing certain things from the past, lore, things like that. So history would be a really good one. But if you want to be more, insightful of people's maybe deceptions or things like that, insight might be good. Investigation is going to be good if you're going to want to be more of the cunning investigator type. That's going to be able to find things that are maybe hidden. Medicine, if you're more of a doctor type wizard. And then religion, if you're more of a religious type of character. Maybe your character knows a lot of the magic that goes into the gods. I'm going to go with history for this one because I think it just makes the most sense. It seems to kind of call out to me as a wizard character. Now for this, we're going to go with standard array. I like a standard array because it balances everybody at the table, right? So like I said, intelligence is going to be your number one stat. You're going to want that high, right? You have charisma. That's going to be your stat for how talkative are you, how wordy is your character, right? Maybe your character is a professor, so maybe they're a little bit more on the wordy side. A lot of times I feel like wizards end up making their characters less charismatic because they are not maybe very talkative. Maybe they're not very much of a people person, right? Maybe they're more of a curmudgeon that's, locked in a tower, right? But I feel like maybe your character was, maybe wanting to be a professor before they decided to go adventuring, right? Wisdom makes sense to go with the next one, right? Because your character might be wise. Your character probably will know some things, applying what they know into the real world. So wisdom makes sense for me. I'm going to go with con for the next one. Mostly because, not necessarily because I want to optimize, but I just don't want to suck at con because you want your hit points to be a little bit more decent, right? So this will give us a +1 to our hit dice when we're rolling and everything. If you want to play maybe more to type, maybe you make this really low. Maybe your character as a wizard is really, really scrawny, right? Let's go with dexterity next, and strength is going to be our dump stat. That's just usually how it goes with wizards. All right, so background. Acolyte really just makes the most sense in this case. Maybe your character's a noble. Maybe they come from money. Sage is a next one that's just really, really good. Makes sense. Kind of goes with it, right? So let's go with Sage. And with that, you have a couple of proficiencies that are baked into the Sage background. So whatever background you pick, there'll be something that will kind of be baked into that, right? Since we are kind of the academic type, I think investigation is going to be good because I can foresee a lot of investigation roles, right? Maybe we're looking through a book to try and find some information. Maybe we're trying to roll to locate some hidden arcane stuff, right? Next, I kind of feel like perception's a good one. Perception is just one of those ones that is always used, so having some good proficiencies in perception is going to be good. So our languages, we are Gnomish. We'll have common just as is. So let's go with something like, I feel like Elvish makes a lot of sense. A lot of arcane texts would be in that, Maybe we go something like Draconic, right? Maybe there's some hidden lore in the Draconic sphere, and we want to kind of go after that, right? Your starting equipment. A lot of times people just go with the equipment or the gold. Let's go with the equipment so we kind of talk about what we're going to make. Quarterstaff, kind of a walking stick, right? Depending on your kind of game you're running, component pouch is really cool. Liam O'Brien does a really good job of showing kind of this in Critical Role in their second season. Arcane Focus is going to be good if your DM, right, like many, just kind of hand waves the idea of, components and needing those materials and everything. So Arcane Focus is a good one. I've always been drawn to crystals. I think it's gonna be that's always a cool one, right? Maybe as a gnome, we have some ancient crystals or things like that. Like I said, I feel my character being something of an academic, so maybe he's got a scholars pack, and so here it lists the different things that are in my scholars pack, right? The other things are just kind of baked into it, so we'll add those things, and here you can see it's got all those things added to my inventory, so that makes sense. Let's take a look at our character sheet and we can dissect some of the skills and the things in there, okay? So the nice thing about DnDBeyond is it kind of puts everything up there for you, so you have it all laid out in front of you. So let's take a look at our stats and talk about like what each one is and how we're going to use it in the game, right? So Arcana is going to be this big one right here, right? We're going to use our intelligence. It's going to be our ability to recall things about lore, spells, magical things, maybe eldritch symbols or runes and things like that. Maybe even magical traditions of, ancient, long forgotten peoples, right? History is the next one that we wanted to go with. So this can be things like, legendary figures from the past, right? Maybe ancient wars or kingdoms that have come and gone and are no longer around that we know because of our study, right? Investigation is the next one. Like I said, I foresee investigation being a useful one for this character because we're going to be really be looking for things in text. We're going to be looking for maybe more lore and history and things. So investigation just makes sense. Looking for things. Maybe we find a desk and we're looking for clues, right? Or maybe we're at a murder mystery kind of thing and we're looking for clues there to help us find something. Investigation is going to be good there. If you're playing the wizard, you might be the only highly intelligent character on the team, so having good investigation is a good one. Like I said, wisdom, perception is another really, really good one. It's just so common. If you play Dungeons & Dragons, one of the most common roles that your D&D, your DM is going to ask for is perception, right? Whether that be rolling for, looking out, right? Or you're walking down the trail and perception is going to be, what you roll to see, do you notice something coming after you, right? Do you notice this beast that's flying through the air coming after your team, right? Or do you notice someone sneaking up on you, right? In the dead of night on this abandoned street corner, right? So perception is just going to be a really good one. Religion is another one. It's just going to be good to know the rituals, the customs, the deities, all those different things. So it just makes sense to have some of that. Like I said, a lot of times for most classes, intelligence is their dump stat, right? It's just nobody uses it unless you're playing a wizard or some variation of that, right? Some of the other ones that, like I said, deception and persuasion, because we wanted our charisma to be a little higher. We're pretty good at that. So whether that be persuading somebody to do something we want, or deceiving them to do something we want, right? Or maybe we're trying to sneak into something and we want to deceive someone to let us into this library, right? Or persuade them to go into the library. Both of those, have their merit, right? A lot of the ones that are dex and strength based, we are terrible at, but that's okay. We're not really playing a physical type of character, so it doesn't really matter. We don't really need to worry about that, right? So over here we have our actions. Mostly we're going to be going into spells, so we'll manage our spells using the DnDBeyond spell manager. So as a wizard, we're going to have a huge catalog of spells that we can use, and so we'll be preparing those as we need, depending on the type of campaign you're going to run. Okay, and so I would save that for a completely different video on talking about all that. Okay, so that's gonna do it for us here. Okay, thank you very much.